Uno, dos, tres.
The PC is arguably the definitive gaming platform, deeper and broader than any of the bespoke boxes you stick under your TV. It's become a catch-all for multi-platform games, an inevitable second home for first-party console exclusives, and a bastion for smaller games that may not be able to develop ports. It's also a destination of its own for unique mouse and keyboard-driven genres that aren't quite as comfy to play while sitting on a couch, while also being the place for portable-friendly games thanks to the like of the Steam Deck and its ilk. Unsurprisingly, it meant we had a lot of games to pick from when it came to crowning our 2024 PC favorites. While plenty of incredible games came to both the PC and other platforms this year, our picks for the best PC games of 2024 stand as a mix of impressive experiences across multiple genres, some of which you simply can't play with a controller in your hand. There's the intricate automated empires of Satisfactory, the exquisite puzzle design of Animal Well, the just one more round compulsion of Balatro, the thrilling detective work of The Rise of the Golden Idol, and more besides. But only one can be crowned the best PC game of 2024. What did the IGN team judge to be the most worthy? Well, let's take a look at the results. With so many excellent games to choose from this year, the spread of votes for the best PC game was understandably broad. The varied taste of the IGN team meant that several games picked up a strong number of votes, but sadly not enough to secure a podium finish. Of those games, the two that only just missed out were 1000 Times Resist and The Rise of the Golden Idol. Plenty of games tell a compelling story, but it's the way that 1000 Times Resist tells its story that truly stands out. It's a confident, moving tale that isn't afraid to get deep, blending surreal concepts with emotionally charged deconstructions of the human condition in a manner reminiscent of games like Nier Automata. Thanks to its narrative-first design being something of a first cousin to visual novels, 1000 Times Resist's story is able to double down on delivering ideas and plot in innovative ways that raise the bar for its genre.
Watch her, know her, heal her pain, fire.
A follow-up to 2022's breakout detective game, The Rise of the Golden Idol continues to impress by empowering you to solve its crimes with hands-on detective work. Set in the 1970s, it presents multiple diorama-like crime scenes in each chapter, demanding you gather clues via close observation and then piece together exactly what happened. Rarely are the actual events as simple as they seem, and the truth can only be deduced from spotting minor things such as an empty gun chamber or the hidden subtext in an angry note. It's a puzzle game that's not simply about finding the right button to push, with an artistic presentation uniquely its own. .2D pixel art platformers can feel like they're a dime a dozen these days, but Animal Well is different. That may sound like a cliche setup, something you've heard before about plenty of other games, but it really is true here. Animal Well wears the skin of a puzzle-driven Metroidvania while also twisting all the usual trends that come along with that structure. You aren't fighting your way through waves of enemies or upping your missile capacity here, in part thanks to Animal Well's almost complete rejection of violence. Instead, you'll find bubble-blowing wands that can produce floating platforms, frisbees that can tame ferocious dogs, and firecrackers that illuminate the dark to reveal the hidden platforming challenges ahead. The real joy of Animal Well, though, is realizing that there's far, far more to each item than their obvious use. And then you begin to realize there's far, far more to each location than the obvious objectives. And as you begin to peel back the layers, you soon discover that what initially appeared to be a 5-hour Metroidvania is instead a gargantuan puzzle with enough secrets to discover that they would fill an actual well. It's an innovative and endlessly enticing take on otherwise well-worn territory. After nearly 5 years in early access, Satisfactory's 1.0 update arrived this year to cement it as one of the absolute best automation games around. It's a game all about building assembly lines and laying down endless miles of conveyor belts, which is much more of an immense joy than it may initially seem. The subsequent tech climb that sees your factories becoming faster, more efficient, and inevitably more complicated always keeps you looking forward to that next big breakthrough. The sight of spaghetti-like factories that span 1,000 acres can seem intimidating at first, but don't let that put you off. Satisfactory's well-constructed web of objectives helps you build confidence in your engineering capabilities. Within just a few hours, you'll have graduated from novice conveyor belt enthusiast to an automation veteran, capable of troubleshooting catastrophic malfunctions as if they were only minor inconveniences. But while the factories are your primary concern, Satisfactory is much more than the end result. This is also a Minecraft-style open world in which you must delve into caves, survive deadly gas clouds, and strip mine rock formations in order to gather the materials needed to both fund and fuel your colossal creations. Throw in a few friends working together in co-op to pave over every inch of green on this detailed alien world, and you've got a recipe for blink, and an hour has passed captivation that rarely quits.
Just throw the lever and the automated systems will take over. Imagine all the time and effort that would be wasted if you had to do all that work as well.
UFO 50 is an almost incomprehensible achievement. The concept of an old-school gaming system being miraculously unearthed and made available today is a cute one already, and we wouldn't blame you if you assumed that the catalog of 50 games that come with it were largely just quaint mini-games that make for an amusing but fleeting distraction. However, that's simply not the case. Each and every entry in this library is essentially the size of an entire retro game of its own, many of which would have surely been standout hits in their era if they actually existed at that time. But this isn't a collection of games made in the 1980s, and the deeper down the rabbit hole you go, the more obvious that becomes. The games of UFO 50 are smart, like modern-day indie darling smart. Each one weaves excellent new ideas into the canvas of a retro classic, resulting in games that feel like toys of yesteryear but play like a 2024 Steam top seller. Echoes of No Man's Sky, Hotline Miami, Into the Breach, and more can be found between the scan lines. But each game is more than just a demake of its inspiration. UFO 50 is essentially a playable examination of the past and present of video games. There's just so much to dig into here with an almost alarmingly consistent level of quality. UFO 50 could have been half as big as it is and it would have still been impressive. Instead, it is borderline stunning. If you've already played Balatro, you probably understand why it's here. In fact, odds are good that you might be playing it right now. And if you haven't, we'd recommend that you do, but the kinder thing might be to just tell you to run, because once you've jumped into this smart mix of roguelite deck building and digital poker, you'll find your free time slipping away and the sun creeping up during what was supposed to still be nighttime. But then again, it sure is worth it. There's something about Balatro that effortlessly hooks you, the just one more run syndrome distilled into its purest form. Everything about its fairly simple presentation is tuned perfectly to be endlessly satisfying, bringing delight or destruction with every card you play. While on the surface it's a poker game that's approachable for anyone who can tell their flushes from their full houses, don't be fooled into thinking you need to know the rules of a classic casino game to play. In fact, this isn't actually poker. Balatro is an entirely original idea, and while the poker hands may be at the center of the screen, the real center of the experience is building wild game-breaking decks that can send your score multiplier skyrocketing. Each round allows you to tweak and improve your collection of cards, switching out suits to more easily achieve better hands, or using celestial powers to assemble literal wildcards. The options are unbelievably deep for those who then want to break the intuitive tropes open with smart modifiers. You may have put together a 4 of a kind in your day, but play a 5 of a kind for the first time and you won't ever want to go back. This is the truly impressive trick of Balatro, making you think you know what it's doing at every step of the way and then teasing you in deeper as more game-shifting jokers are discovered, more decks are unlocked, and the scores you consider impressive start stretching from the thousands into exponents so large you need a degree to decipher them. Wrap that up in a lo-fi presentation as deceptively well designed as the card game it houses, and you've got a game we are undoubtedly going to be playing for years to come. Those were IGN's best PC games of 2024. How did yours stack up? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to check out the rest of our best of 2024 coverage right here on IGN.